I'll call the meeting to order. Before we proceed, let's take a moment and each ask for direction in the decisions that we'll be making tonight on behalf of the county. Okay, thank you. Roll call.
Ken Talbot,
Here.
Alan Easley,
Here.
Leon Griffith,
Present for the last time.
Helen Glass,
Here.
Jay Craddock,
Here.
Ronald Merrick,
Yeah.
Carol Yeaman.
For the record.
For the record.
Put that on the record.
Okay, the next item we have would be any additions or corrections to the minutes. Oh, sorry, to the agenda. If not, we'll proceed with the agenda as written. Appointment of chairman and vice chairman for 2020. Do you have a report from the nominating committee?
I'll make a motion that we retain the current chair and vice chair.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we retain the current chair and vice chair. Any discussion? If not, to hear a motion that, no. We have the motion.
Maybe I need to rethink that.
Yes, you do. All in favor of the motion signify by raising your hand. Thank you, and I appreciate
Thank
your
you.
confidence.
Looked like we just did this a week ago.
I know, gosh.
This is my 30th year, and it is my last year. So you have 12 months' notice that you need to prepare, and anybody here can occupy this role. So you've got 12 months to give it some thought and decide who's going to run, and but I figure 30 is a good round number in time to.
Without me and him both, y'all won't know.
There won't be any controversy, will there?
No.
Okay. Thank you. All right, in your package, you have the minutes of the November 12th meeting. Are there any additions or corrections to those minutes?
We need to vote on the agenda. Did we do that?
I asked if there were any
Yeah,
changes,
you did.
but
It's fine.
you see it is. I should read ahead. Yeah, you have the minutes for the November 12th meeting. Are there any additions or corrections to that?
This
Not-
time approved as written.
Motion, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor signify by raising your hand. Thank you. Old business?
The annual report is in the back of your packet. You just need a motion and a second to approve it, if you choose to.
And if we don't approve it, we have to do it all over again?
Yes, Kathy has to do it all over.
Uh-huh. Are there any comments on the annual report? Do I hear a motion that we submit the report as written?
So moved.
Moved and second
Second.
and seconded. All in favor of submitting the annual report as written, please signify by raising your hand. Thank you very much. New business?
One special use next month, placement of a single-wide mobile home.
I don't know, I like to, maybe this is the place, but
Mm-hmm.
I like to report, I got complaints on the RTV trail that we approved the conditions on.
Mm-hmm.
And that they ran Wednesday, January 1st, which is supposed to run Thursday through Sunday. That they operating after 6 o'clock. And the noise level is really bad. I think what's happening, they've got a mud bog pretty close to the property line of a neighbor, and they get in there and rev them up to get out. But,
So, see, the mud bog's a separate property.
no, this mud bog is in the lowland of the Brito College Trail. And, so
That wasn't part of the application.
well, I call it a mud bog, but it's a place where, have you seen it? I haven't seen it. Is it a mud bog? It's a place where they get in there and.
Where they get
It's just a
stuck,
low-lying area, it's kind of a dip, and they just go.
get stuck.
Well, didn't we address the fact that they needed to avoid the creek and the water there?
It is not in a creek,
It's just a muddy area.
it's just a muddy area.
But I think a
Okay.
letter ought to be written to him, just to put him on notice that it's been reported, and that if it don't stay on top of him, he's just gonna continue to do what he wants to do.
Now, there is,
I'm just-
and you're certain that it's this property, not the one down the road?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Because one of the guys in Tanner, Owen, and he don't mind, and it joins his property.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because the one down the road does have a mud bog, and,
He does, and that's another concern of mine, which I know that we've talked about it, and Karen has tried, but my son went to the dumpster down there, which they put on Mount Tabor Road, and the owner is sitting out there on a golf cart doing this, telling people to slow down so they won't hit four wheels crossing the road. And common sense tells me that's a problem. Now, I don't know if it's a VDOT problem, if it's a state police problem, if it's a zoning problem, but it is a problem. And and then, of course, he has no conditions at all.
I did check with the Soil and Water Conservation on the maps,
Uh-huh.
as you requested, they discarded those years ago.
mm-hmm.
I don't know what
The
that can
aerial.
be done, but it's pretty bad.
Well, as far as the adjoining property, until there's some significant change in the use, he won't have to come back to us for special use. His official position right now is that he's grandfathered, and that whether that's right or wrong. If there's any substantial change in the use, then he would lose,
Yeah.
he would either lose his special use permit, which he may or may not have, and he would lose the grandfathering,
Right.
and he would have to come back to us. But as far as the highway is concerned, yeah, I'm concerned about that too. That when I went down to view the site for which you got the complaints, there were 3 4-wheelers at the dumpsters,
Yeah.
spinning around. They took off when I pulled in there, but I was assured that they weren't from the applicant. They were from this other, the mud bog, which we permitted originally. The mud bog was just the mud bog. But,
Yeah.
thoughts on state police, VDOT?
Somebody's
I
got
mean-
to sit there and catch them in the act, don't they?
Well, yeah, and
From
if
a
it-
state police point of view.
And from a VDOT perspective, it's the same as what you just said about it being a change in use. We look at things when it's a change in use.
Mhm.
We would review the entrance and it would have to come up to current standards.
But if he's got a designated trail that's crossing the highways, is that, I don't know how long ago he would say that started, but,
Just from talking to a state trooper, I understand it's legal to cross
Yeah.
perpendicular, they just can't run longitudinal with it.
Mhm.
I don't think anybody really knows.
And
well,
somebody's gonna get hit down there, because it's a 55-mile-an-hour speed limit,
mhm.
and,
Well, you've done, as far as the BCA is concerned, you've done all that we can do,
Yeah,
and that's
yeah.
notify enforcement and throw the ball into their
well, we got
court.
a ball, but we don't have a basket. And, there's nowhere to throw it. And,
I can notify him that there's been complaints.
and that's fine, and then that, it might as well be Richmond Dixie.
Well, as far as the special use permit that we issued, yes, he should be notified there's been complaints, et cetera. And as far as the other guy, it wouldn't hurt to notify them that there've been complaints about the 4-wheelers on the highway. And
I can do that.
I appreciate it. I'm just,
Could they put rumble strips on both sides of it?
The highway.
I mean, really, where
Well,
it crosses.
I'm not an attorney, but to me, the intent of the law is you can go across the road to, like, your farming, and you go,
yeah.
stuff like that,
Mhm.
but not as part of a recreational thing. But I'm sure it doesn't specify that. But there again, I just think by common sense that that's just not the thing to do. But as we know, common sense is not common anymore. So, but anyway,
No.
thank you for listening.
Okay, thanks for bringing that up. Okay, any other new business? You've had your chairman's report, so let's proceed to the public hearing. Well, what's in here? There we go. Ladies and gentlemen, pursuant to Article 5, Division 7 of the Pittsylvania County Zoning Ordinance, we, the Board of Zoning Appeals, have been empowered to hear and decide specific applications and appeals in support of said ordinance. In accomplishing this important task, we're charged with promoting the health, safety, and general welfare of the citizens of Pittsylvania County. We must ensure that all our decisions and recommendations be directed to these goals and that each be consistent with the environment, the comprehensive plan, and in the best interest of Pittsylvania County, its citizens, and its posterity. Anyone here to speak to the board other than the applicant regarding zoning matters will be limited to 3 minutes. So the public hearing in case S-20-0001 is now open. What does that say? The time is 7:10. Report?
Case S20-001, Rock Solid Hardscapes LLC has petitioned for a special use permit on a total of 86.53 acres located on Huntington Trail in the Tunstall Election District for a campground containing 36 sites. The Planning Commission recommended by a 7-0 vote with opposition that the petitioner's request be granted. The staff summary is enclosed in the board packet along with the concept plan. Mr. Chairman, Bert Lewis is here to represent the petition.
Mr. Lewis?
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'll just go back through it like I did last week.
Just any comments you have in support of the application, short or long, just so you can rest assured that we have a good understanding of what it is you propose to be doing.
A little bit of clarification. I know you call it a campground. It's really an RV park, so there's no tent camping. You've got to own an RV to stay here.
Okay.
That's what we're after. That's the clientele we're after.
I think the specific use in the ordinance, though, is campground.
Correct.
So-
That would be primitive camping, would be
Right.
camp, primitive
So
camping.
it's a campground with no primitive camping,
Yes.
so
We're selling it
self-contained,
as an RV park,
self-contained RV.
Yes.
Okay.
which is in the name. Also went on KOA's website, Campgrounds of America, to see the availability of the campgrounds. And it's a big void between the Blue Ridge Mountains and Virginia Beach and Northern Virginia. That's a huge void, which I know there's a campground right there on 58 in Axton, but it's small and it's booked.
Which one is that?
I don't even know the name of it. It's
Yeah.
right there on 58, about Martin Road, right in there. Axton Auto area.
Oh, well, these are the KOA.
That's just KOAs.
Yeah. Okay.
And I met with Jay a couple days ago to discuss the sightline concerns there, and we can make the adjustments on the screening trees that we had already installed,
Mhm.
a little bit of grading. That's no problem.
I saw the guy out there with the hoe moving some trees when I was out there. That's amazing to watch.
We were just replacing the dead plants there.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else? Are you ready for some questions?
Sure.
Okay. At campground, our biggest concern, my biggest concern, is to make sure that we have definitions in place and conditions in place that prevent the campground morphing into a mobile home park or a permanent residence, all right? So how long do you think most people stay? How long will their stay be?
I think it'll be some there with year-long leases, especially the construction workers.
Mhm. Okay. And of course, these will be campers only, no mobile homes.
Correct.
Okay.
Will there be any restrictions as far as adding on structures to them? You know, we've run into some problems with that, people add little shanties onto them, so that won't be allowed.
There really won't be any room to do that.
Okay.
So if we added a condition that said no porches or shelters
That's fine.
added on, no add-on porches and
Yes.
shelters, you,
Other than the awnings
Right,
connected to the
yeah.
RVs. That's fine.
They're already part of the RV, aren't
Yes.
they?
and would the word permanent fit in that, no permanent porches and awnings?
I think that's what you're saying, because
Uh-huh.
you'll see some that have turned into permanent residences.
Okay.
What would you, and I don't know if this is something we even want to consider, a time frame. What length of lease would you be doing?
I would say anywhere from 1 day to a year. And anything in between.
Do we need to address that in any way, or?
True, it's gonna be hard to address it.
Well, we said before, no stays over 30 days to try to mitigate the possibility that what was supposed to be a campground turns into a permanent residence for people living in campers. But part of your target market is going to be the construction workers.
Yes, sir.
Because it's convenient to the new power plant over there.
Yes, and the 2 solar farms coming in.
Yeah. Of course, if they're Pittsylvania County workers, they won't need temporary housing.
Which you could only hope for.
Bert, who's
Yeah.
gonna look after, you not around there half the time?
I think between myself and all my help and sons,
Who,
there's plenty, and you.
where were you paying? Who's gonna collect the money and stuff
We'll
like that?
probably run it out of the nursery's office.
How about the house on the top of the hill? Is that occupied at the moment?
Yes. It's
Okay.
rented, it's rented as well.
So that's a rental property that will continue
Yes.
that.
Yes.
And do you anticipate any other recreational facility, docks or playgrounds or, any other activity for the?
Well, Mr. Stowe said we needed to do some bluegrass music, so.
Well, that's a different discussion, that's a different meeting. So other than limiting the permanent porches or shelters, is there any other adverse effect that we need to mitigate or any other condition that we should impose to help ensure that it?
Noise, I guess noise. I don't know if they have to comply with the noise ordinance.
They would have to comply automatically. And we have added conditions in the past just to assist the zoning administrator in enforcement regarding health department, meet health department regulations. For instance, we could say no mobile homes, but mobile homes aren't required anyway. So, but just as a helper to enforcement, but so they got to comply with the noise ordinance anyway. We could say it, but I don't think it would add, in my opinion, a great deal in this situation. I hope you all had a chance. It is a beautiful site.
It is.
Uh,
The RVs, are they When you say self-contained, what about sewage, water, electricity? How's that?
It's
How
gonna
does
be a
that
full
work?
service RV park, so it'll have water, sewer, electrical service. And from my understanding, I'm gonna have to have 2 sewage systems. One as a backup.
Okay.
That's what
And so all of that comes into the site.
yes.
And can it be there where, in the area that you've designated, or is it gonna have to be a pump system where pump it up away from the lake, or what?
I've got to get, from what I understand, I need to get an engineering firm to
Mhm.
help me out with the drain field and all.
Okay,
And then it'll be a separate dump site
yeah. Oh, yeah,
for the secondary.
now it is, the road is a little narrow and twisty, but it is into a lot of campgrounds. And with the nursery activity, I'm sure there are trucks on that road anyway, so. it
We
would
take
be-
tractor trailers in and out, so.
And as far as the long leases, that's a two-edged sword. If every site turned over every weekend, that'd be a lot of traffic. But if everyone was leased for a year and turned over once a year, it would be, and it's hard to predict,
And if somebody comes there and turns it into a permanent residence, but they follow the rules and.
well,
like
actually,
they're
that's against,
supposed to.
again, that's against county, that's
Against
against
the
the
county.
rules.
County rules.
But enforcing it's a different issue.
Right.
You know, residing in a mobile home residing in a camper is not allowed. And several have been sent letters and forced to move out of that cow pasture into a campground proper.
Right.
But enforcement can be challenging. But responsible owner will take care of that too. All right. So special use, are there any adverse effects? Any other adverse effects that we need to consider mitigating in any way?
Mrs. Rodriguez had expressed concerns about drug use, but to me, crackheads don't own RVs. So
Yeah.
that's not the clientele that I think we're gonna have.
Okay, if that's it for the applicant, we'll hear from the public, and but we may have some more questions before we're done, so. We have one person signed up, Patty Rodriguez.
Good evening, gentlemen. Okay, last week I actually brought a petition with signatures of everyone in that surrounding area. I didn't get it back, so I can't pass it out. I don't know if anybody's, okay, good.
We've got-
My concerns, as long with the other people, is the depreciation of the property value. Because my property is actually beside this location that he's talking about. And he said it would be probably a 5-year lease on this, or a 5-year lease on the land for the campground in order for the workers, construction workers to come in. What's gonna happen after that 5 years? Is it gonna be, converting to a trailer park? As far as foundations, are there gonna be on paved campsites, or is it gonna be all gravel? And, cause they were discussing $100,000, $200,000 campers coming in here. And I can't see them coming in on a dirt road into a playground, more or less to put their campers on. So I was wondering about the paved sites, and he mentioned the KOA. Is he converting this into a KOA, or is it just gonna be his private campground as far as other facilities that access? And I worry about drug use coming in. We all know Axton, Pittsylvania County, Cascade, it's like a drug zone in that area, and it travels through constantly. I think it'll bring more problems. I just feel like I'm concerned about everything, actually. Drug use, my property value, after the 5 years, what's gonna happen to it then? Is the water table gonna be able to sustain that? And the roads are not gonna be able to sustain that. Not with that much traffic coming in and out. And normally, construction workers, which I have some in my family, so I understand construction workers, when they get off work, they're not gonna come in to go to bed. They like to hang out, drink, get loud, rowdy, and we have elderly people around the area. and some children, so it's another concern. And we're afraid of it becoming a trailer park more than just an RV campground. After the 5 years is done, these construction workers are gonna move out. What then? That's my concern. I'd appreciate if you guys would address that. And I think that's all I have, other than, you know, the natural wildlife and everything that would be, you know.
I thought you were
in
concerned about
harm's
the
way.
wildlife, is that?
I am concerned about the wildlife. That's why I'm taking care of all those horses that
Yeah.
my neighbor has right now.
And where's your house in relationship?
May I see that?
Yes, if you hand her a pen, just put a little X of it,
Okay.
or a big X, that's, you know.
Well, let me see here. I don't know if it's,
know if it's on that.
Your address is listed at
Okay.
Viola.
Yes.
Which
no,
is-
well, actually, I'm at 1500, so this is my property.
Okay.
And to be
Oh,
honest
yeah.
with you, I didn't like living in the country when we first moved here because my husband's retired military, but I wouldn't take anything
See,
in the
that's
world
the
for that
house.
quiet, peaceful. I love it now, and I just,
Okay,
okay.
thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Is there anyone else that would like to address the board before we close the public hearing? All right, if not,
Right here, aren't they? These pine trees.
Mr. Lewis? Oh, I brought the wrong glasses tonight, I can see you. Yeah. All right, we'd like for you to take this opportunity to rebut anything that you just heard, any comments you'd like to make on the input we've had from the public. I'd like to hear more about this 5-year asset life. You plan on closing it in 5 years?
I don't know what that's about.
Well, they said it would take 5, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
No, that's all right, no, we've heard you, thank you. So that's you just don't know what it's,
I don't know what the 5 years is.
okay, so as far as you're concerned, as an asset, this is gonna continue beyond the
Absolutely.
construction cycle for the,
Mhm. I mean, it's gonna take many years to fill up that mega park. So I think this is gonna continue on for many, many years to come.
okay.
And that's only, to me, that's only gonna increase property values as well.
Yeah. All right, did anybody hear anything else from the public that, what are the campers, what are your campers gonna say about the dogs across the street? Is that gonna keep them awake? Did you hear the dogs?
I did not.
No?
We were about Saturday afternoon, and, I mean, I was just trying to get on the dirt road. And that's, and,
I
That's a
appreciate
whole
you
other
telling
issue.
I
me.
went back the other way.
I appreciate you telling me to do that.
Yeah,
That's-
right, I told Alan to drive the old truck.
And won't have my telephone
No, I didn't hear the
when we
dogs, I
return.
really
Okay.
didn't.
It's a lot less than it was,
Yeah?
a lot.
Ooh, that's, okay, all
Let
right,
me make
so.
one thing clear, we
Yes,
live in
sir.
Cascade by choice.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that.
All right, well, thank you. We may have some more questions.
sir.
With that, we'll close the public hearing at 7:28.
I want to say, of course, down where I live, we've had a campground in Keelan. I lived in Keelan 44 years, and it was there before I got there. It was Swan Lake, and there was something else, and there's Paradise.
KOA at one
It was a
time.
KOA.
Yogi
It was a
Bear
KOA
at one
campground.
time.
That's true. KOA is a franchise. You can buy a if you want to pay the money to pay the franchise, you can be a KOA. But they have certain requirements too. But honestly, and construction workers stay there, working the pipeline, and there are people come in off 29, they'll stay overnight, they'll leave. I have yet to know anything detrimental to the community or anything that happened that resulted in and I'm pretty sure they are grandfathered, they're probably there before they resulted.
No, they've been to us several times. What's the name of it?
Well, right now it's Paradise Lake.
Yeah, yeah.
But they do have permanent sites there. That's what, when you mentioned that, but they have people living there. That's why I thought it was before zoning. But he.
Oh, it was there, but they, in the early years, we had, they applied, they brought, to bring their special use permit up to date, because there was a lot of contention between the owners and the little store across the street.
Well, I know, that's the only battles I know of where it had nothing to do with the people staying there. It had to
Right,
do
yeah,
with
you're
the
exactly
owners
right.
of
Because there was a couple of years, they were in and out of here, regular customers, and
Oh, yeah.
either the store or the store owner or the,
Yeah, but I just bring it up, I certainly understand the concerns, the traffic on the road. Some of them will go down by my house, down to 360 and go out. I mean, but I don't think you're gonna have that many at one time. You know, you're not gonna have a convergence of 36 trailers coming in, you know, so, but honestly, you could ask about, of course, the people that own it now is the family that the boy shot his family. And so that's still, but it's still, they do, there's a lot of people go in and out of that.
and how many got in there and couldn't find their way out and became permanent residents?
Well, there are some up there, and that's because, I don't know if that's legal or not, but they.
Well, no, it's hard to find, is my point. It's,
Oh, it's hard. Although the lady who works there told me that those five right there live here all the time.
yeah.
So it's all you got to do is go up and ask.
I think they make them leave,
And make them,
make them leave and come back.
Yeah,
they may do.
or swap houses for a week or anyway,
But be
okay.
that as it may. But-
Well, I agree. I've done a lot of camping, RV camping, and I've never seen drugs on a campground. If anybody's doing drugs, they're not gonna go to a campground and, with a,
Sit around the fire.
particularly with a ranger around, and, so that is not, I don't think, a major concern. I may be proven wrong, but, noise. We got a noise ordinance. There won't be any bands or festival activity without the applicant coming back for a different permit. We may extend that no permanent porches or shelters and no permanent foundations. We'll add that no permanent foundations. If we thought the asset life was gonna be short, we might ask for a plan to recover the property or return it to its current, but I don't think you make this kind of investment for 5 years.
No.
No, not put a sewage plant in and all that stuff.
Yeah, you got a lot more people looking over your shoulder today than even erosion and sedimentation control will probably be down there. It's an hour from my house, by the way, so you have to pack a lunch when you, it's about as far away from Gretna as you can get and still be in Pittsylvania County. Okay, if there are no other adverse effects that we need to mitigate, shall we include these two conditions on a positive motion?
Yes.
Okay, if we did that, then a positive motion would read, whereas Rock Solid Hardscapes LLC has petitioned the Board of Zoning Appeals for a special use permit for a campground, and whereas we find no substantial detriment to adjacent property, that the character of the zoning district will not be changed thereby, and that such use will be in harmony with the purpose and intent of the ordinance, I move the special use permit be granted with the following conditions. One is no permanent porches or shelters. And second is no permanent foundations. Is that the motion?
Yes, it sounds good.
Who wants to make that motion?
All right.
All right, so we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, it's been motioned and seconded that the application for the special use permit be approved. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by raising your hand. All opposed?
I choose to abstain.
Okay, so one abstention. Good luck, sir. And your neighbors will be watching if we're not, so. But it's a pretty place, I'm optimistic. But- All right,
I move to adjourn.
move to adjourn. We're done.
Put that on the record.
On the